Let's see. If it wants to load. If it wants to load, I'll be able to do it. There we go. Damn, this is not gonna load fast enough. You're gonna take your good damn time, huh? There you go. Welcome in, welcome in. Let me pin that real quick. I'll pin that and then we'll do this. Hopefully this works. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. I don't know if that bot's gonna work. But if it doesn't, that's okay. That's alright. Welcome in, welcome in. We're gonna talk a bit about the egregore and kind of the process of how the thing is gonna get dismantled, as well as just open invite for those that believe or want to try and help with the project. This little Google form thing you can click on and fill it out, just to see like if you would be able to help in that sort of sense with this. But regardless, there are a few ways that I've been thinking about tackling this at different angles with it. And so far, I think I have a pretty sturdy plan. There's nothing like big, but it's multifaceted, which isn't really like a good thing to do at first because we need to get something solidified, but I have like a lot of avenues that we could go with it. Regardless though, I already have the rituals in mind, you know, not only for protection but for the dismantling, the sigils and everything else I'm creating for it. But other than that, it's the way this egregore is super like interesting. It's just it's weird. And I'm only saying it's weird because of the way it's like spiraled out, and the way it's like operating. It's in a sense, and a lot of people bring up the question of why would you focus on it if you're wanting to dismantle it? Doesn't that feed it? No, that comes from, that's like an observation from like an outside perspective. That's not really like a good thinking point. Because when you feed an egregore, it's the attention that it's deriving that you're feeding it into that matters. So like when you're feeding into videos and it's giving you fear, that's causing that egregore to get stronger. If you're focusing on a way to dismantle it, it's not going to get stronger. If you're focusing on a way to get it to stop affecting things within you or around you, it's not going to cause it to get stronger. That's the exact opposite effect that you're putting. You know, a positive and a negative does not equal a positive equals a negative in that sense, right? So you really have to look at it in that sense of like, we're trying to negate this thing. We're trying to get the attention to be there and transmute it into a different sort of light. Because we can't like, you know, you can't destroy energy. It's going to be there always. But what you can do is transmute it. And even though at the end of the day it's going to rely back onto the individual, there are things that can end up lessening its grip that people just haven't really tried yet, or if they have tried it, they haven't gone about it in a different, like the way that I've been like getting it is very interesting because it involves a lot of spiritual quirk. It involves like what is it called? Seals and sigils. It's like really interesting the way that my guide's been putting this on me. But regardless, I have a pretty solid plan with like the sigils and stuff, using the different sorts of powers, using omniscient, the angels of omniscient, oh my goodness, can I speak? The angels of omniscient and the genius spirits, to help with this. And of course, that's going to require me like, well, not even just me, but just a group, if a group does appear, to just look through both of the omniscient and the spirits of great, the spirits of genius, I mean. So it's just going to be combining those two things really, and finding a way to get them stabilized to work together. That's what that's the main part of it though. And not even just that, but focusing on it's going to be in intervals the way that's going to work, where it's it's going to be a focus for X amount of time with the we're going to start with I'm going to start with the genius spirits first. The only reason why I'm going to start with the genius spirits is because they're not really, the omnipresent angels aren't necessarily needed for the time being. We're kind of needing to expose it first. But the way it is just like exposing the spirit of it first, because we can't, not going to the physical, not attacking people on the physical. We're going to be looking at the spirit aspect of it, finding a way to expose it, rather than oh my goodness, there's just so much going on right now. Hold on. But we're gonna just find a way to expose the spirit of the people, the spirit that's going around, that's the egregores, sending out. Because even with it being an egregore, even though it goes into someone and it's a thought form, it turns into a spirit. That energy still moves around and changes. So it's very important to just, expose that spirit first. And then after that, we're able to take that spirit, whatever that's going on with that, to the spiritual courts, expose it even more in that sense, kind of making like a pinger on it, you know what I mean? To where like, it becomes more of an obvious thing for people who have that entity on it, rather than just it being confusion. Now, of course, I was going to rely on like the person and their own discernment, their own way of doing things, their own like third eye, their own discernment, all sorts of stuff. But if we can just make it easier to like ping out what that spirit's doing and make it happen at like a quicker rate, it's going to be a lot easier for people not to be so attached to it. And just lessening the effect, you know what I mean? Because always, I'm always going to reiterate this. At the end of the day, it does go down to the individual that's involving themselves with this egregore. But there are things that you can do to lessen it and make it more exposed in that sense. But it involves going to the courts about it as well, which is why we need to use the. Oh my God. I'm clicking all over the place because I have like 1,000 different things open right now, trying to find stuff. Anyway, that's why we're going to be using the spirits of the genius spirits first. They're able to delve into that source, since the omnipotent angels are more for getting things to move. So what we'd be doing is the genius spirit rituals for the exposure, and then when we go to the spiritual court, we'll be using the omnipotence to kind of put more pressure on it in that sense, cultivating things, allowing things to move faster within that realm. But it's going to involve like petition works. There's not really, with this type of work, it doesn't necessarily matter for the moon cycles, for the planetary cycles, or anything of that nature. It definitely could be an advantage point. But it's not necessarily a main concern for what we're going to be working with. But eventually, if we do get people in, it would be like a group ritual where we would all like take a day at a certain time and just do it then, and then go on and do the spiritual court at the same time as well, with that sort of sense. And then even going down to like lesser groups. if you have your own like form of ritual that you would be doing, instead of mixing up those two rituals together, we would just split into lesser groups, and then you all would do your things on like individual aspects. But if you're interested in like cooperating with this, if this is something that you want to dive into, I have a Google form in the pin, and you can just fill out that form, and I'll get you all set up with that. Because in the server that I have on Discord for this, it has a lot of resources. It has I made a little custom like Sigil PDF thing. I have different languages in there, so we're really just going to be doing everything in there, as well as like doing certain like frequency work. We'll be doing frequency works for it as well. That's going to involve its own different type of ritual to like delve into at that point, seeing like what it is, what kind of parasite it may be like attached to, anything of that nature. And just, you know, hitting it from different angles, making it more exposed. The saying ignorance is bliss is not going to really suffice for this, simply because it's been ignored for so long, and look what's happened, right? So drop the link again. I got you. Think that's the right one. It should be. But regardless, you know, we're going to be attacking, just making it more exposed, just to show. And again, it's not going to be anything about focusing on a specific individual, even though we could spend all day naming the ones who are, you know, feeding into it, obviously, because we know them by some of us know them by name. Others will just kind of like see it, you know, pop around, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is to try to expose that spirit, to basically it's like a weird, it's like a, I don't know how to describe it, but the way that I would, if I could, is like a reversal exorcism, like I mean a hands-off exorcism, excuse me, where no one's really, you know, exercising the flesh. It's more of the individual getting more aware of it, which, you know, is why we're going to the courts, as well as just I had this idea as well. I'm not sure how well it's gonna work. How well, by how well I mean by how stable it's gonna be, but doing group protections over just over the spiritual community, instead of like a collective, which wouldn't really be much a help. It would be the whole community in itself, of just creating either our own egregore or servitor, to act as a funnel of protection, or like a pump of protection, just for like the general community in that sense. Because there are a lot of people that, you know, are very uncomfortable doing any form of like ritual or working. So it would just be nice to have our own servitor and stuff for that, which I know how to make servitors, and egregores are like fun as well to make. It's just about actually taking care of it, actually keeping it up to date, because this wouldn't just be something that we do for like a year and then give up on it. It would be something that has that continuous effort into it, you know. And that's like the whole hold up, I guess, for really anyone trying to do this, because it's not gonna just be like a one and done thing. This is gonna be like a consistent thing that's going to be worked on, which is why, again, like in a group setting, it would be a lot easier, which is why I have like the whole Discord thing set up and everything of that nature. They get the ones that are willing to do that to work with it, and it doesn't mean it's every day, but it's just like it would be something that would be a task to keep in the back of their mind. But again, like, this is the effort, this is the type of work that is required to really remove these types of things and get them to become lesser. In that sense, I had the thought of getting like opening up a portal, and trying to do it that way, but at the same time, like, that would just be a little bit dangerous for the time being, just because we don't really need a portal open. Like, we have people already opening portals as it is, and closing portals as it is, so I don't really think opening another one would be a good idea. But we're just like the first, because it has phases, it's gonna have phases obviously. The first phase is just figuring out what the spirit is doing, and then after we get the spirit under control, and this spirit kind of on a lockdown, we'll jump up to the egregore part of seeing like what is the emotional funding that's going into that, and we'll study with that. When we're dealing with the egregore, we wouldn't necessarily take it to the court system, the spiritual courts. We could, but it would be a little bit more difficult and strenuous. We would I was thinking about with that one is either trying to get a seal, putting seals on the egregore in certain parts to keep it from, you know, to kind of keep it, just like putting I don't want to say a band-aid on it, but it is like putting a band-aid on it. So after we would get the spirit exposed and that decreases, we just put a patch over top of those certain areas that were targeted by it. So let's say we do it for like everyone feeling like they're under attack by magic. We lessen that down. So that spirit of fear that is generating the feelings of fear for being under attack by magic, once that's lessened on the egregore, we'll put like a band-aid or something like the seal on top of that to keep that in place. It won't really fully get rid of it, but it will keep it under wraps until we can get the adjacent ones that would go along with this. So that, you know, the adjacent ones would be the general fear, all these other things that are blocking the heart chakra systems and stuff. We'd basically, it's like the Jehovian seals that we would be basically putting Jehovian seals on an egregore, without them being Jehovian seals, of course, right? It'd be very interesting to do, but that's the only way I could think about doing that, because we have to work on it from levels. Obviously, it's more of like a Godhead entity. If we're really gonna talk about it, it's way more of a Godhead entity, which is like why it doesn't necessarily have anyone controlling it. It's just doing its own thing at this point, right? Like, there's not a select individual who's fueling this egregore by themselves or keeping it alive. It's like a literal group effort through interpersonal to external relationships, and so that's like why we're gonna have to go about it in this way. We can't really, there's not like a single point. It's literally just all over the place. So once we target those things, it's gonna be complicated, but it's also gonna be very fun, especially if you like doing this type of stuff. I was feeling maybe Solomonic magic at some points. We do have a lot of astrological and celestial events happening this year, so it would be pretty beneficial to use like planetary or Solomonic magic in that sense. Not in the sense to like summon or invoke, but to use as blockages. Like if you know anything about the planetary seals, like for instance with Saturn, right? It's like Saturn's a big whole issue. We would literally put like a Saturnian blockage on the egregore so it doesn't leech off of this energy of Saturn that people are being affected by. It's not able to use that as a receptor. Or we do it for Venus and all those things, and we block it from doing it in that sense. But we could do stuff like that with the seals. Yeah, there's planetary seals. People can block like planets from being assistatory towards you. Oh my god, I can't speak. But there's all sorts of stuff that we could do with this. But again, like if we were to do this, we would need to create like our own servitor almost as like a funnel of protection while doing these things, just to keep things under lock, which isn't, you know, hard to do, but it could definitely get out of hand if everyone's not on the same page, which is why I, you know, have the server again, to keep everything like concise. And even then, like in the server, like one of the rules is to document everything. So even if you do like a little thing by yourself, it's important to document it all, just so we are up to date and know what's going on with everything. Because, you know, again, I'm actually wanting to do this. So it's not like a half-ass thing. It's like a dedication is definitely needed. Um, but yeah, how do you go about that? You can do it in different ways, but like every planet has a seal and a sigil, and all you really have to do is just use that seal. I'm not gonna go into a deep explanation because if it falls into the wrong hands, obviously, yada yada yada. But just um, you like for Jupiter, your luck. Someone can like cause like hex you by putting bad luck on you. They can just block the Jupiter area, and as well, not only that, but the planets align with your chakras. So the same thing as your chakras can get sealed and blocked off, that you can do the same thing with the planetary systems and how they affect you, and that goes into your astrology and like your houses and shit. That's how like people block your houses and stuff. They just put seals and stuff over them. Um, which is really funny because if you do that with the Western astrology, it usually ends up not working as well because the Western astrology is a conundrum at the end of the day. But yeah, definitely using all the elements. Water would be good. I mean, I use no matter what I'm doing, I'm using all elements. If I don't have water near me, I have like water running in the background. It's like I'll always have like all the elements on me around when doing any of it. But just finding stuff of that nature for that. Cause I'm trying to think. Cause I used to do like not this type of stuff, but I used to do like almost adjacent to it. Um, when I used to do like that weird exorcism stuff with the with the mirror and water and burning of stuff. It was interesting. Anyway, we don't have to go into any like depth of it. And besides the point, with the resources for the rituals, they would all be posted within the Discord as well. So it's not even like you have to go out and buy anything. You don't even need candles. You don't even need pieces of paper. Everything is gonna be there. Um, so it's gonna be like it's literally the most cost effective thing. That's how I'm trying to go about this. Of course, if you do have like crystal grids or like your own stuff, candles or whatever, just feel fucking free to add it if you want to. But it's not necessarily needed. Um, until we get further down the path, which I am not going to think that far down just yet because I need more um I need to see how this is going to work out before I actually start planning that far ahead. All I really have planned ahead is going to the spiritual courts about the spirit to get the spirit exposed more um in that sense. And uh doing that I would use my servitor as well that I have mainly because he works within the spiritual courts. That was like his main creation was to be protection, but he switched to the spiritual court completely. Even that was one of the things that he was supposed to help with and like hex removals and stuff, but he no longer he's just in the spiritual court. I don't know like why he's up there for so long, but he's just called to do it, so I let him be up there. So I would be using that as like a protective lawyer in that sense. But again, having a specific servitor for the group for just protection overall would be necessary for it. Even if we had like an egregore that we created with this, um, we could still do that. You know what I mean? Um, but that's just what I have right now. And as well as like when we were doing the angels of omnipotence and the genius spirits, we'd only be using three is a good number for balance. You really only need one. But the way, and this is gonna sound fucking bizarre, but the way that I've been getting this put on me is eventually it's going to be a web of sigils. um like I was seeing, it was fucking bizarre how it was coming to me. I was in a really deep meditation, um, in a spiritual bath, and the way it was coming to me was fucking bizarre. It was like almost trapping the egregore within its like within a sigil that's made up of other sigils, if that makes any sense. Like, it would be a gigantic seal that it's made up of other sigils that are all connected and pinpointing different things at the end of it. That's what I've been seeing heavily. Um, and I'm wanting to get to that point, but right now it's finding the spirits and the angels that would work the best together, because there's a lot. There is, well, hold on. There's like, how many omnipotent angels are there? Oh, it'd be really cool if I could see. Why am I leaning forward? That's not going to help. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 9 omnipotent angels, and I've worked with 3 of them pretty consistently, and they get their work done. But when it comes down to the spirits of genius, there's 84 of them that I can choose, we could choose truly of 3. It would only need 3. Any more would be it would be difficult in the sense of um if anyone isn't familiar with the form of like angelic magic using the sigils and stuff, it would just be difficult in that sense. And I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, because there are people who, have the path, who have the ability to do these types of rituals and incantations and stuff, but they're not very knowledgeable in it. So it's kind of like going hand in hand, where we're getting people from all branches, either if they're wanting to just learn about it, or if they've been like an expertise at this shit, um, to just, come together. Because a lot of people, it's like, and again, it's like, that's why I want to have this group environment as well, but as well, doing things on your own is going to be very important too, because you're going to need to do, your own protection work, over the group and whatnot. It's just, there's going to be a lot of different, like, energies going around. It's going to be very interesting, but it's going to be it's going to be a learning and teaching experience for all of us. Is it bad for not really. It just depends on why they're tapping in. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, when it comes to tapping into things, it's about your intention. Because you can tap into something heavenly, for lack of a better term, and then flip it on its head because you decide to use that knowledge for a different reason. You know what I mean? Like, this kind of what I'm doing is I'm just tapping into seals and things of that nature, learning trapping mechanisms to lessen this egregore. And I forgot the name of it, but I was looking into specific keys that we could use as well as like a locking mechanism. Like, we could make our own, like, what is it called? It's like it's the key sigils. I forgot what they're called. It begins with a D. But I was looking in on how to make those. How do we start to reprogram? Different. There's many ways we could do that. The best way to to start reprogramming is getting rid of things that aren't beneficial to you on a personal level. Because the more that you're able to free yourself up, the more you're going to be able to basically help and show other people that way. It's the same thing as being a healer. You can't be a healer if you haven't yet healed on that certain level. You know what I mean? But how do you stick to it? Making it like a routine for you. Because a lot of the things, because even then, like, even in the Discord, we'll be talking about a lot of this stuff. I'll even be teaching like rituals and stuff on here to do day by day, like angel rituals and stuff to keep you on your feet and grounded and safe in that sort of sense. So we'll be talking more about that in the future as well, because this isn't just going to be something that's done on the Discord. I'm going to be trying to do it on the YouTube as well. The only thing we're not doing on the YouTube is the rituals for the Egregore Servitor Archon thing. That's going to be its own separate place. But for like protection rituals and walking through that and learning how to do those, we're going to be doing them probably on YouTube. Because there is nothing, no harm. It's all for protection, and really at the end of the day, it's just for like benefit. But yeah, like the only real way that we're even able to like target this egregore or anything of this nature is just keeping it in the spirit, is literally just taking it to the courts and then following through those instructions. Because it's not impossible. There are people who take down egregores. There are people that take down servitors. These things are very possible. They are very. I've walked the block before. It's just not easy to do. It's a lot of energy. Um, and it's not only just a lot of energy, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of knowing things fully. This is why we're breaking it down to multiple pits, because it's got, again, this is the first part of this, of like actually figuring out the spirit. And the thing is with this spirit is trying to figure out like a main focus, so that whenever we move on, we'll go to another one. And I'm not really sure how many we're gonna need. It's like, so it's egregore influencing the in a way, yes. It's very interesting, because it's influencing not only the spiritual communities, but it's also influencing the teachers and the leaders of it as well. By going down a certain part. Are you more susceptible if you use tools like tarot? Not really. Everyone's susceptible to it. That's the thing. It's just egregores at the end of the day are just a thought form. And the major thought form that we are in this realm is fear. So we're just really trying to find a way to eliminate that fear on a more, within that realm. We can't really target a specific individual, despite how that might seem easier to do, to get rid of that fear. Because if one disappears, 7 more are going to come, right? So we're worrying more about in the spiritual courts for it, so we can take down the actual spirit and make it more noticeable when it happens. Because even then, like, we really have to break it down in the sense of it's a consciousness, it's a collective consciousness. We're all entangled together, and if we can break it down from that spiritual court in that grand conscious scheme of things, we're able to bring it down and separate it in that way. It's the same way as like the frequencies and stuff that are like archon removals and like the neural network removals, right? Frequencies and stuff of that nature. It's like doing that same thing, but less on the physical with frequencies and more in the spiritual, involving the court systems and the in like sigils and shit and that stuff. But we will be going over the frequency stuff as well, because like, however we need to go about this, we're going to go about it basically, which is why it's going to be a big project. It's not just going to be like, doing the rituals. If you know how to do protection work, but you don't want to do anything involving the egregore, you can just do that. If you just know how to do frequency work and you're not wanting to do any rituals, there's a slot for that, and thank you, Anna, for that, for the clapping seal. I seen it like at the last second. But for now, we're just going to focus on the spiritual courts. I mean, of course, we can focus on the frequency work as well, but that's going to take its own thing, because then we're going to need like people doing meditations and figuring out what's going on with that, translating certain colors into frequencies and stuff of that nature. So we're breaking it down. I think about this stuff a lot. It's more concise in text than it is coming out of my mouth, unfortunately. But I'm making enough sense to like get spin the wheels at least. But yeah, we're gonna focus on the spiritual courts first, and we're not gonna worry about the egregore at first as well. The egregore is like the main target, but we can only really focus on the spirit aspect of it. So that's what we're focusing on. But yeah, there's the Google form if you want to fill it out for it. You're not obligated to. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you do, that's also fine. But regardless, we're gonna do this. And regardless if anyone wants to team up or not, I'm still gonna do my best to do this stuff, because this is something that I'm desiring to do. I just know that there's people out there that do wish to help. If you've already sent me an email or any form of contact asking how to help with this, I'll send you the form through the email, and we'll talk about it there. We'll fill out the form and stuff. But regardless, we're gonna really focus in on this. Well, I am at least. And as well, even that, like, before we even do any of the rituals, it's definitely going to be something that we're going to talk about, seeing if we want to switch anything up, because it's not going to be like a solidified thing. It's good, things are going to change, obviously. And if someone's not comfortable doing a form of the ritual, then we will change it up to that, to make it more comfortable, because obviously we're going to need the comfortability. I will say, though, the only thing we're not going to do, because it's not going to be any help at all, is the LBRP. That is not going to help with the work that we're doing, unfortunately. I have tested it out. It's not going to help. But I mean, if you know how to do the LFRP, awesome. We're basically doing a better version of that, if you want to say it that way. But we're not using it because it entangles too much. And whenever I was testing it, some of the angels that I was calling on got banished after doing it. Even when I did it before, it still prevented certain angels from being able to come along and help in that sort of sense. And when I did it afterwards, it actually took out a lot more angels than I thought it would, from being able to have any form of control. So we're not going to be doing that as a ritual. But if you decide to do that as like a lesser ritual for yourself and your own working, you can do that. But for like the group, for like the main group ones, it's going to be different, which is why like having the lesser groups is going to be important. Just for those that have other rituals that would require things of that nature. But we have all the rituals and stuff too. I even have like resources with the books and stuff, so you can have the books yourself and do what you want with them. But it's all just angel magic at the end of the day. But I literally like, I screenshotted the entirety of the omnipotent ritual, because it's like, it's important to know how to do, and to know what you're doing, and like to like how to combat it if something goes wrong in it, and as well as the genius spirit ritual. They're pretty similar in what they do. It's just one is a lot more detailed and complicated. Altogether, though, realistically, doing the ritual work is probably only going to take like 15 minutes, 30 minutes at max if you really go in on it, right? It's not going to be something that's going to take 17 like hours or like 7 days to like this prep up for it. It's quick and easy stuff just to kind of get started first. It's just putting out that message, putting out that petition, doing meditations on it, being aware of the signs, documenting things that happen, then getting back and just talking about it. But that's what's going on. I'm just gonna get rid of you, because I don't know what you're talking about. Talk about the validity of spiritual reality. What is the evidence and disputes? What do you mean by that? Because the way you worded that does not make sense. Spiritual would not be reality. Reality is referring to have something happening again with reality. The actuality is the spirituality of things. The reality is the physical plane. So if you could ask that question a little bit better, I would understand it. But yeah, I just ignore it, because I've also got a lot of people, trying to mock me for doing this and whatever. Just let them do what they want to do. They're literally like not doing anything. They wouldn't know how to start. They wouldn't know how to do any of this stuff in the first place, and they're too embarrassed to actually do anything themselves, or too lazy regardless. So just let them expose who they are, because those are the ones that would rather sit in misery than actually do anything good for their life, unfortunately. And I will call them out on that bullshit 24/7, because that's them and not me. I actually want to like try and solve this shit and not have it be an issue. How does science and spirit go hand in hand? Have you done how far have you gotten to sciences? Because the further you get into science, the more spiritual it gets. The more you see that the visible is entangled with the invisible, and that only things that can happen on the physical come from that invisible place. That invisible place being the space, which is the spiritual in its sense. The fact that a spark of light happens from smaller and smaller things colliding together, coming from a pair that just happens to randomly do it at some point because we can't get down that deep. It shows it. Even with physics, you go far enough into physics and then it starts to show you like the chaos theory and how the butterfly effects and all these things. It begins to get more spiritual in the sense of saying that even though you can deter something that happened, there's always going to be this invisible force that's going to keep it from swaying one way or another. It's the pendulum effect really at that point. But studying these I mean, they're all sciences because a science is really just a question, an observation of what's going on. That's really what science is. So physics and science, biology is all just sciences of life, of seeing, observing life and knowing how it operates on that sense. Yeah. Thank you, Hafa. Spirit creates matter. Matter does not create spirit. Matter does not create anything. Matter is the final form. Matter is father. M-A-T-T-E-R is matter. That's father. M-A-T-E-R is mother. You can go back to the Latin origins and look up M-A-T-E-R and look at Latin and it's going to say mother. And you add another T to there, it's going to say father. So that's what we're dealing with. When people are talking about God the Father, they're talking about God on the physical. They're talking about the physical realm. When they're talking about mother, they're talking about the invisible. The one that was we're talking about Atum and Apophis whenever they were in the battle with the egg. If we're really going to talk about it in that sense. Right. Because energy, it's not that energy's created, it's projected. Because it's always been there since the time. It's just the consciousness of self hasn't caught up to what has already been created and what is created. And things can be destroyed in a pseudo way to where an individual is no longer operating under it. You know, it's like you can break an ice cube, and even though the ice cube is destroyed, there's split into different parts. There's still whole in that regard, as those parts still hold the totality of everything, but they're no longer whole, like together. They're now separated. You know what I mean? It's like it's fragmentation. That's just the term to use. Is fragmentation. But yeah. Uh, uh, mm, okay, Timothy. Sure. I'll let you run with that. I'm not here to debate religion today. I'm just not. You can run with that. Every time I get on, it has to devolve to like some form of like religion. Y'all like, damn. Exactly. And the third dimension of learning is just an illusion because we're really in a 2D world having a 3D experience. The fact that we're trying to leave the 3D is fucking hilarious because we're not even in the 3D. We're not even really experiencing the 3D. We're experiencing an illusion of what we believe the 3D really is just because we have depth. And that depth comes from just reflections and reflections of light and the moisture in the air, which really isn't a thing because that's still a 2D operation that we're on. So, you know, we really have to like see these things as it is. Because if we lived in a 3D world, what you would see, we program and see as examples of 4D is living in a 3D reality. You can never see the dimension in front of you. You can only experience and guesstimate what it's going to be like. So when you see a 4D cube, that's really a 3D cube because we're on a 2D plane experiencing it in a 3D way. That's what's going on with that. I mean, you can say we're raising the frequency collectively, but at the same time, there's not been an elevation collectively. There's been an elevation individually. I, I can't tell you. I don't know, SG. I do not know. No one really knows at the end of the day. We can guesstimate and assume that well, obviously we're programmed to some degree because our beliefs and what we've gone through is everything. And what the program would be God depends on what you define God as. Because a creator and a programmer are two different things. A creator would create the programmer, a coder, and a coder would just write the code. Because ER is the action of. So you have the creator, which is the one who creates, and you have the coder, the one who's coding. So, depending on what God you're talking about is going to depend on what level we're going to on that. Lucifer doesn't own the Matrix. Lucifer, and huge quotation marks, Lucifer, because what you're really looking for is Baphomet, not Lucifer. That's like a whole fucking BS thing. Baphomet runs the Matrix. Lucifer, or the devil, runs the earth. He's the one who created the earth. He was sent down to earth to rule it, and that's why earth is the way it is. But the coding of the Matrix is Baphomet. That's why you see everyone with the star. That's why the five-pointed star with the circle on it that everyone calls a pentagram, and oh, it's a token of good luck and protection, is not. It's actually the sign of Baphomet that people are wearing on them, but they're not educated enough to see that, and their ego doesn't break it down enough for them. So, because, I mean, Baphomet's the beast. If you're talking about the battling the beast, that's Baphomet. That's literally Baphomet. When you see the half moon in the star, that is a symbol of Baphomet. That's not like an Islam thing. That's literally half of it. That's showing you half the truth, keeping you shrouded, keeping you eclipsed. It needs to be in totality. It needs to be whole, not one above and one below, but one in the center with all. That's what we're trying to do. Is because that's the two halves put together. We need the, what is it, the Star of David, I believe, the two triangles. If I'm not mistaken, because my brain's still moving 1,000 miles per hour. I mean, that's the thing. You can't just ask a spirit to say something. They can lie to you. You know that, right? Like spirits will trick you and lie to you. They're not obligated to tell you anything. Even when you summon one and you like, go do my bidding, they can still lie to you. They're not obligated by any laws other than their own, because we're on the physical. We don't have the strength of them. We just have the power to be able to invoke them and see them. That doesn't mean they have to be completely truthful. You know what I mean? But like, that's what we have to watch out for when it comes down to these things. Is this realm is that illusion? It's the same thing as the riddle of the two door guards, and one of them tells the truth and the other one tells a lie all the time, and trying to figure that out. You have to take everything with a grain of salt and really look into things deeper. It's the symbology of this world will tell you more truth than anything else would in reality of things. Then why would you want to stay there? That's a question for you to find out. The only reason why people are really here in the Baphomet universe is, well, mainly because we keep chasing the pleasures of this realm. A big thing that happens within, like, because this egregore, again, like, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go back to the egregore part for a minute. The main reason a lot of people are stuck here is because this egregore its main thing is like, oh, you're gonna be a millionaire, or you're gonna have love, you're gonna have a relationship, and those relationships that you're getting into are called platonic. They're plutonic, Pluto relationships. What is Pluto? What does Pluto rule? Why is it the underworld? Why are you trying to get under a relationship, under your world? You know what I mean? Like, break it down. So we have plutonic relationships where basically just tying you to the Pluto. You have the money aspect of things that ties in with the war between yourself and your soul. That's Mars energy, if you really want to break it down like that. It could also just break down to Saturn as well. I haven't done my research on that one too much. Someone probably knows more than me on that. But all these things are linked to those planetary laws that you have, and it's about being under them and seeing how those relationships between you and those planets, and you and what you're trying to achieve on the physical, how that's tying you to these entities. You know, you have your 7 deadly sins, but those 7 deadly sins are your 7 princes of hell. So which prince of hell are you currently being a slave to, is what you're trying to figure out. And not only that, then you have all the dominions. You have the kings, the princes, the dukes, the presidents that fall underneath those legions, well, that rule those legions, and then you have the legions that do their own thing as well. So it's important to break these things down. What's my abilities? I have a lot. I mean, you can say I'm a healer. I know I've healed myself from a lot of things, and I do my best to show people that way. I don't go by labels, though. The only reason why the channel's named Z the Healer is because I wanted something catchy. I'm not, like, I don't really go by labels. I just live, whatever I can do, I can do. You know, sorcerer, magician, whatever you want to call it. You know, sigil maker, healer, you know, tarot card reader, diviner, Enochian worker, whatever you want to say. I don't label it. I don't need the complications for it. You know what I mean, so here's the thing. Right now, where we're at, Baphomet is already losing control over the music industry. Obviously, we can see that. Have you not been, like, pay attention to the music media at this time? Look at all the rappers getting arrested. Look at all the rappers getting killed. Look at people getting busted for drugs. Look at all the some rappers are converting back to Islam. Some rappers are dropping out of the game. Drill is dying. Like, that's one stage of Baphomet gone. And the media outlet, that part's being handled. Phase 1's doing that shit. Like, Phase 1 has been in that beast with Baphomet on that sense for a fat minute within the music industry. We have other things to focus on, because once it gets ripped from one, it's going to go to another. It's a never-ending battle, but all we can do is subside it and make it easier for others to continue the path after us, right? Yeah, chaos magic is nice. A lot of people have issues with chaos magic because obviously the word chaos, but we live in a realm that's operating off of chaos theory, which is the perfect inside the imperfect, keeping things in a never-ending loop. So all you're doing with chaos magic is just, you know, altering that for whatever benefit or lack for whatever, you know. So, but regardless, I'm just wanting to meet like-minded people. And even if then, like, even if you don't know how to, you know, cast spells, but you're really good at the logistics of things, you know what I mean? There's a place for everything. And it's just about getting a team, because, like, you know, you can do it by yourself, of course, but, like, it's important to move forward. The healer, how do we prove my claims? What do you mean? How do I prove my claims? But we're really gonna, I'm like, I am so set on this. Like, it's something that I can't stop thinking about. Because I rewatched that video I did 9 months ago about seeing that eye, and I've had non-stop, like, what do you mean there's only Earth? I mean, you can believe that, sure. I mean, if you've never had experiences outside of this earth, then you wouldn't really have a reason to believe in anything else. You know what I mean? I speak from a place of knowing. If I don't know something, you'll hear me say, I believe, or I'll think. You'll never not hear me say that if I don't fully know something. or like I could see it like this or something like that. I make sure of it. But if I'm talking about something that I know about, there's no like second guessing. I'm going to be very like blunt with it. How do you prove it? Why do you need to prove it? What is your need to prove it to other people? Is the question you have to ask. You know what I mean? If you've experienced it for yourself and you know it to be true because it was your experience, that's all the proof that you need. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't believe that you can make an ice cream sandwich because they've never seen you make one. That's on them. That's the whole point of like living, is to know what you know, you know? It doesn't matter about what everyone else is gonna say. That's for them and you to decide what to do with it. And if you don't want to deal with it, you don't have to. Like, it's the self-validation that you're looking for when it comes down to it. But it's more of knowing what you know. If I would rather say that I don't know something than believe something at the end of the day. I understand it's important to have a belief about certain things, to have like a path to walk down, but I'd rather not have a belief. I'd rather just be like, I don't know this. Let me go look at it. Let me go search it up. Let me go see if I can have an experience with this thing. And if not, then it's cool. Someone else had an experience with it. Why am I going to say no, it didn't happen? That's not for me to decipher. That's not for me to decide. I'm not them. So if they had that experience, they can tell me about it. Awesome. I experienced it audibly. You know what I mean? But that's how I try and keep things. I don't like overcomplicating it. I don't like telling people, oh, that's not how it is, or this isn't true, because what they study and what I study, what they've seen and what I've seen are two different things. If we can walk around, if we can meet in the middle somehow, awesome. If we can't, awesome, we tried. Either way, it was valued of some degree. But when you delve into what people like to call schematics, but really the deeper questionings of things, it can get complicated. Because at that point, then it takes a lot more of an experience that you had rather than things that you study. Because if it's like, you can read a book on how to do a spell, but that spell might not work the same way it worked for that individual, because the way you did it and your energy at the time compared to who they were and what they did in their life are going to be two different things, right? That's why you can't replicate anything exactly. That's why even when you follow instructions for something, it doesn't work out the way, because there's something inside of you that's blocking it. Whether it's a lack of belief, a lack of true effort, however that is, that comes from that internal self. Do I use crystals? Sometimes. I used to do crystal grids a lot. I'd stopped. I went from crystal grids to sigils. But I do have some crystals. I had a lot of them in my suitcase, but all the bottles broke, so there's just a bunch of broken glass and just random crystals in there. But regardless. Yeah, and even then we are crystals. Like, all of our teeth are crystals. We have that crystalline version of ourselves, of the carnivore diet. I don't eat meat. I'm allergic to most meat, so I don't do it anyway. But it definitely does keep your vibration lower eating meat, because when you eat meat, you're eating death. It's dead, so that's what you're ingesting. Whether or not, does not matter how the animal is treated. At the end result, you're eating something dead. And if you're really going to be focusing on like what you're doing, and don't look this way, if you want to eat meat, go eat meat. I'm just explaining what I know from how the realm works and how digestion is and energetics is. If it's dead and you ingest it, you're putting death into your body. It's as simple as that. That's why we got like worms and bacteria, because we're eating dead flesh. Doesn't matter how much you cook it, it's dead. It doesn't bring it back to life. It's fucking dead. You know what I mean? Because of Popeyes. There are some days where, like, the only meat I would ever eat, and that I ever do kind of eat sometimes, is like chicken. And I barely do that. Like, that's rarely. And I know there's times where you just do. It's not like a bad thing. Like, you're not gonna go explode and burn in hell forever. But it's just about how you want to take care of your temple. It's about how what you want to do, truly to do. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'll eat eggs, I'll eat cheese sometimes, even though like you're not supposed to or whatever the fuck. But at the end of the day, it's just what I do, right? It's not gonna hurt me. It's not gonna like if it does hurt me, I know what it is, right? And I can just stop doing it at any time. Yeah, it's just tuning the frequency dial up. But yeah, we're not supposed to be eating meat in the first place, really. We don't have the things for it. See, I like eggs too much to quit eating them right now. You know what I mean? Like, you go through those phases of I like eating this food too much, so I'm not gonna quit eating it. That's me with egg and cheese. Eventually, I will at some point. Right now, I'm enjoying it while I got it. But I don't. Yeah, I don't drink milk at all. I can't drink milk. My stomach actually gets upset if I drink milk. I'm not lactose or anything. I don't know what it is, but my stomach just does not handle it at all. But yeah, I'm allergic to wheat, so I don't really eat much whole grain stuff either. Like, that stuff makes me break out in hives. It's awful, dude. Oh my god. But tell me why everything else made out of meat. Oat milk's good. I'll drink oat milk. I'll drink almond milk is okay, but I'll either go for oat milk, and if coconut milk is an option, coconut milk all the way. I don't care. Coconut milk is way better than oat milk in my opinion. Um, but if I gotta get oat milk, I would do that. What's the biggest problematic program you've ever witnessed? Oh god. Yeah, I eat like a lot of fruits and vegetables and nuts and stuff of that nature. It's mainly I don't know. I've never had banana milk, but for the most problematic programming is probably work more, earn more. That's a fucking awful program to be under. We're so stuck in the masculine energy of like working, um, and expecting like overworking to pay us more whenever that's not how it works at all. Yeah, basically just capitalism is the worst fucking programming. Capitalism's not going to be a thing anymore because eventually we're going to be under one government because if you guys haven't caught the drift yet, Donald Trump is going to be our last president. Um, so if you know what that means, you know what that means. If you don't, um, look at our neighbors in Europe, and you'll find out where we're about to head and what's about to happen and what they're trying to accomplish. Like, it's not even hidden anymore. It's not even hidden. It's so like it's just not. But that's what they're trying to do. Un like it's unfortunate though. I don't. They're not gonna make it. Like it. It's gonna be very interesting next few years. Is all I'm gonna say. That's really all I'm gonna say. So just stay tuned. Stay buckled in. What country do you think is gonna game that wrong, dude? Fucking, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, SG. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to dig and do that right now. At least it might turn into like districts. Honestly, it literally might become like a district thing. Honestly, if anything, but it's probably gonna be the states because we literally have fucking profit everywhere, dude, when it comes down to trading routes. I mean, obviously if we don't get anything traded to us, we'll explode and die, but we're probably gonna end up like doing something. If not that, it's either between China and Russia. There's really only like 3 places actually ever that could do anything of that nature. So the bot didn't even work. Okay, I put a bot in YouTube to ping whenever I'd go live, and it was supposed to put a ping out in 2 minutes after I went live. It's been 64 minutes, and not a single thing has happened. So that doesn't work. I'm glad to know that. I'll fix that later. Um, but yeah, always say grace, dude. I yesterday I got Chinese food, and what I like doing, especially because like if you do like Reiki or Sekum or anything of that nature with like involving energy healing, for the love of God, if you have your food in like a container, put your hands on top of them and pray to it, because you will feel the whole experience. It's a very I always do it every time. If I have food like in a tub or something, or in a bowl that I can put my hands over, I will do that. I'll close my eyes and you'll literally feel the transaction of the energy. It's so good. Uh, I'm gonna give you an answer that's probably not good, that you're not gonna like. Baphomet's both. Depends on who you are. If you are a child of the devil, Baphomet is your daddy, and he loves you to death. And if you are a child of God, Baphomet is like your distant cousin that you just hate. Let's say it that way. It really depends on who you're born by. If you are a child of the devil, he's really good to you. If you're not, he fucking hates you, and you're at war. An angel to a devil is a devil, and a devil is an angel. You know what I mean? So you have to really break it down like that. That's the important thing, and it got it did first of all, it didn't get mistranslated. I'm not even going to say that. It just got completely disregarded on the journey of delving back into the soul, of delving back into the spirit. Nah, I mean, you can say Baphomet's duality. um I'ma just let you know that Baphomet is the reason why kids are killing kids, and why the music industry is the way it is, and the world the way it is. It's not duality. Baphomet is not duality. Baphomet is the beast. And Azazel, God, dude. I mean, you could just fucking call him Krampus at this point, dude. Like, really. Like, if you really want to call him something, you can call him Krampus. No, I don't work with the. I don't work with the Greeks. I stick with my origins when it comes down to working with things. I stick to my Kemetic lifestyle. I'll stick to the Egyptian goddesses and gods, all the way. That and the African. I don't really work with the African, the Orishas, the Oshuns that much, but I do sometimes. It definitely is interesting. Like, people, because here's the thing. Um, I mentioned it in the video, but a lot of people, when they jump into spirituality, they don't talk about this stuff, and I don't know why. Like, this is the whole point of being spiritual, is to seeing the spirit within everything. Is remembering, oh shit, everything is alive. Everything has like a spirit inside of it. We forget that. We go, oh, I'm protected, I'm loved. Yeah, but are you really? Are you really protected out here? Are you protecting yourself? Because if you're not protecting yourself and doing what you need to do to call that protection, you're not protected. You're just causing yourself to be under an illusion, blinding yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's really bad, because it goes one of these ways. It's either it's like occult knowledge that you have to go sign up for, like you go to a cult, and then people get scared of going in the cults because, oh my god, they're evil and scary. They get perturbed away from it because most teachings that people get might come from Masons or Masonry, and people are afraid of Masonry because the Masonry's been bastardized and said it's satanic. Masonry's not satanic. People who are Masons can be satanic. You know what I mean? Like, we're so stuck with labeling something. That's the issue. So if we can stop labeling bullshit and just let it exist and see that it's not just one thing, everything will be good. It's not about duality. It's about the full aspect of things, seeing things from an actual viewpoint. You know? And the whole thing with labels is proving to you that we're in a 2D reality, by the way. Because you wouldn't need to label something as exact bad if you weren't seeing it from a 2D perspective. this is good, this is bad, like two sides, right? When you look at it from a 3D perspective, right, you see the whole, well, you can't because it's 2D reality. If I were to spin it, I don't have, can I can't spin it on my fingers, right? But if I were to spin it, you would see the full 3D object of it, right? That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. But labels are proving to you that you're stuck in a 2D reality. That is just the gist of it. The higher consciousness that you get, the more you can see around things, the more you can alchemize things, the higher of a you know, dimension you're on, basically. Thoth would be a good idea. Um, uh, but we would have to go through Mayat first. The way of that court system works is Mayat with the first scale, Thoth with the second, and then if Thoth doesn't know what to do, you go all the way up to Atum, and she makes a final decision, and that decision is made when it's made. You can look back at the battle of Set and Horus, because when their hearts were weighed, they had such equal balances for why they were doing what they were doing that nor Mayat nor Thoth could really judge them properly. They were too balanced, so they took them. Thoth took them both up to a tomb, and then fucking Set got really jealous, like out of really impatient, really not even mad, but just impatient, and then tried to attack Horus, and then got fucked up real bad by a tomb, and then Horus won the judgment. But that's what's going on with that. But there are layers to all these things, and people don't go into the layers mainly because the layers are either lost, or shit, I don't know, personal issues. Like it can be a range of anything. Yeah, duality is not a real thing. That's a man-made construct. There's dual, which is having two aspects, but we're worried about polarity. We're on a world of poles, a north pole and a south pole, energetic poles. We are polarity. We are polarized to one point of view, which is our issue, right? We need to be back in our true whole state of seeing both polarities of ourselves instead of being separated. Santa Claus? I don't want to talk about Santa Claus. He's not good. Cause it's the same, like, bro. Hold on, I gotta think, cause my brain. I'm literally like sitting here thinking about what I'm gonna do for the sigil while also talking. So give me a second. I'm like all over the place. This is like normal behavior. But no, Santa Claus is one of the, like, that's why I was talking about Krampus and Azazel. Thank you. Jesus Christ, can I think? It's the same thing as Azazel. You could really compare, well, if you wanted to go down deeper, I forgot what it is, but you have to look through Islam, and you can find out the demon of Santa Claus. If going through Islam. I forgot. Um, I forgot, dude. Mainly because I haven't read the Quran all the way through, because I want to learn the native language. You know what I mean? I want to learn how to. I don't want translations. I want to be able to speak it so I know what's being said. I don't have to worry about translating Arabic words into English and then getting an English definition for an Arabic word that doesn't translate properly, right? Um, but that's what's keeping me from that. There's just a lot. I like to know shit. If someone could read me the Quran, I'd sit and listen to it. But I know my way around it enough through like Dr. York's teachings. I know my way around scriptures a bit through that. Indra's nest, yeah, I know about Indra's nest in the spider. Even though Indra is really like water, isn't she? Isn't she like a goddess of water? Yeah, Iblis. That's why, like, that's, you know, that's so funny that you said Iblis because earlier today, I was just mumbling to myself, and ignorance is bliss, ignorance is Iblis. And that just kind of hit me like that. And I just had a little funny laugh to myself about that. So you just reminded me about that. Thank you. Thank you for that. But yeah, I thought Indra was a water goddess. Where Indra's nest, Indra's web is really interesting theory to look into. Well, interesting study of life, I should say. Not even theory, it's a study of life, actually. Um, but we are all interconnected within that, which, funnily enough, is why I was thinking about doing the multiple sigil theory, making a web out of it, because I was seeing the Kabbalist tree of life with it, but it didn't have much Hebrew. It was literally just sigils, and I was like, "Fuck." So how am I gonna do that? But it's very, I don't know, dude. This shit's gonna be crazy. That's all I'm gonna say. Whenever I start getting this stuff to truly like move forward, it's gonna be crazy. Um, but yeah, let me do this. If anyone is interested in joining one of the two discords, that could get you into the other one. If you're interested in joining this channel's discord, I'll send a link tree to that, and then in there you can find my actual discord and like DM me or something about the other one that we're doing, the egregore elimination. But all this stuff's on there too. I have too many links. I don't even know who this individual is, but okay. Hydromancy. Yeah. Geomancy's fun. I'm not gonna lie. Geomancy is so fun. Uh, no, but yeah. Damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. I really did. I gotta go look at the list of angels. I gotta go figure out how this sigil's gonna work. What I really have to do is figure out how the hell this sigil's gonna work, because the way I'm seeing it, dude, I don't know. This is gonna be fucking weird. The way it's coming to me is just so bizarre. I've never made a sigil. Well, I have, but I didn't do anything with it. Oh, that's my left arm. This is my left. This is my right. We're mirrored. But there's a lot. Uh, I have dragon agite, moon crystals. I got a citrine. I have green agite, and I forgot what the fuck this one was. But I know it's for banishing. That's all I remember. And I got my evil eye and then my angel bracelet on. But that's what I got going on. We're mirrored. That's what I have to remember whenever I'm like reading like cards. I have to remember that they're mirrored, and my brain gets broken. Well, no, I don't have. It's not about removing programming from the egregore, because that's complicating things. What you're wanting to do is seeing it from the my god, the micro to the macro is how we're gonna do it. Because you can't just start dinking on the egregore. That's probably what a lot of people have been trying to do, which is why it's not working or it's taking too long to do. Well, Julie, because we have free will. and the laws that the angels are governed by prevent them from coming down to earth and doing what they need to do. If they weren't permitted by those laws to stay there until permission was granted, we wouldn't, that would be an issue. But the higher vibrational beings operate off of that sense of free will. And an egregore, egregore is a emotional or feeling thought form that is generated by a collective people and or by circumstances. So, like, think of mass hysteria. That is basically an egregore leeching off of people and causing reactions. I don't have any wands yet. I want to make one. I don't have one though. But if I made one, I would literally get the wood exactly as I need. I would carve it out in a certain way. Now are we under one right now? I mean, yeah, we're under a lot. We're really, so here's the thing. We are under archons that have created servitors that are producing egregores that are sending out spirits to inhabit people's vessels. So that's why we had to break it down from the spirit all the way up there, because a servitor is based. Well, no, because it would be a servitor with the archons would technically be a godhead, well, unless. God, unless, like, I don't know, it gets complicated the further you go. But basically, servitors are your creators, egregores are your generators, and spirits are your remote controls. Nibiru is what they were referring to as heaven. And then there's the mothership. And whenever the mothership comes down, that's when we're gonna get rained on by fire and all sorts of stuff. You can look up, bro. Why is everyone's names just flying out of my head today? Elijah Muhammad. You can look up The Mother Plane by Elijah Muhammad. It's a really short book. It tells you exactly everything you need to know about that. I mean, meat is really a drug if we're gonna talk about it. Like, when you eat meat, that throws your whole, well, anything really in this reality is going to be a drug of some sort. It's gonna put you under the influence of something. But you can call meat a drug if you really want to, sure. Because if you're addicted to anything, that's really because it's a form of a drug, just based off of how they move. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, man. I don't see. That's the thing. I don't want to think about it because I already know how nasty it is. But if you want to eat it, you go for it. That's all on you. I won't ruin your appetite. I won't let you. Yeah, I'll let you eat all the meat you want. I'm gonna just sit back and not do nothing about it. I'm just not gonna eat it. You know what I mean? Cause damn, I could talk about this in so many ways. Cause meat is basically full of parasites, and those parasites can and will control you. What's love in my eyes? Love is a complicated agglomeration of multiple feelings and stimuli responses. Love is not just a simple thing. Love has its levels. Love is a very complex feeling that doesn't really have any boundaries, but it's limited at the same time. Because you can love someone and then that love would be showed differently towards someone else. you won't really ever truly know what love is until you fully love yourself, which is complicated for people to do. Because if you truly loved yourself, you wouldn't have any form of negative thought on yourself that would keep you from doing anything. And not a single person on earth has done that yet. So that's a whole other struggle to go through as well. But that's why we're on the journey. We're learning how to do it step by step. But until one person goes their entire whole life doing it, it's going to be a struggle. David and Goliath. It takes one. And if one doesn't do it, yeah, like love, like we have it as a child. Love is that innocence for sure. But as we grow, and experience, it will be diminished. We become dirtied. We become perverted, as we age. And most leaders who end up trying to promote environments to keep that love enabled are then either eliminated, arrested, or thrown under the bus. So it's like, oh man, it's just unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it's an individual journey. Yeah, see, that's the thing. You can really, if you look back to when you were a child, you see how sour you've actually grown. And it's just about breaking that sour spell. Uh, what do you recommend for Parasite? Um, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. Depends on what. So, first of all, if you can just do like a colon cleanser, you'll be good. Like if you can just cleanse your colon and get rid of all that gunk, you'll be pretty solid. Other than that, it depends what you're trying to get rid of. Are you trying to get rid of like worms, parasites, parasite eggs? Because when parasites die in your body, they lay eggs. So it really depends on what you're trying to get rid of. You should love. You should. Well, care is an interesting word because when you say the word care, that means to be bothered by. So you shouldn't be bothered to love. You should just love in general. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be a cause for love. Because then that puts, yeah, the conditional love, that puts a condition on it. You should just love to love. There shouldn't be a care about it. You should just be able to express yourself in that way. I don't know who you are. I'm just going to remove you. I'm going to get rid of the eggs. I believe cayenne pepper? I don't remember off the top of my head. Don't test me on that. I don't remember off the top of my head. I have a photo on my phone of it, though. When it said it expired? How did it expire if it was an unlimited link? What? Bro, that makes 0 sense. I'll link it again, I guess. I'll like just talk. Well, that's the thing. Hold on. I literally set it to do not do it. Here, let me go edit this because that's just so weird. That's so silly. Well, no, I'm trying to like, let me edit this. It's my page. What are you talking about? I mean, I'll let you know when I update it. I'll do that real quick. I don't need Linktree Pro. Quit. I just want to edit the link. I don't need to do all this stuff. The Discord link, I literally just can't see anything. Okay, did it save? Are we good? It should be fine now. There we go, yeah. It works now. Awesome. But that is, that, I mean, I get what Daniel's saying when it comes down to that. Because it's not, irrational just means it's not being broken down. Rational means it's being broken down. When something's not rational, it's whole. Like rations and ratios and stuff, they all come from the word ration. ION is just the action of, it's the energy. Ions. Well, rational is subjective because it's falling under something. You need to break something down because it's on top of it. Needs to be seen from a lower standpoint. Irrational isn't subjective. The modern day definition of that word is irrational. I mean, is subjective, excuse me. But the etymology of the word and what the syllables of that word mean are not subjective in that sense. What do you mean I'm not you? What do you mean by that? You are but flesh and bone and bacteria and muscles and phlegm. That is the same as us all. We are all made of each other. You, on the spiritual sense, in the realm of your soul, whether that be a true soul or a augmented soul, is still part of a person, as we are both Ya and Wei, agreeable and disagreeable. We are all the same. We are split into two, the agreeable and the disagreeable, the rational and the irrational, the separable and the inseparable. I'm not kidding you. You're just not on my level yet, and that's fine. I used to be there too. If we're not the same, why are you here? You wouldn't have never been attracted here if we're not the same. That's the point. That's the main part of it. I would have never manifested you if you did not come from me. Simple as. You're searching for truth? I'm telling you the truth. You're just not seeing it. That is the full truth. We are literally the same. The only difference is our program. We share the similarities of being programmed, though. The only thing that separates the visionary of seeing you and someone else is the fact that you turn your head away from the true divine sight of the internal self. It's ugly. Maybe it's because you don't hold any beauty inside of your eyes. The beholder of you is not beauty. So you would be the ugly one in that sense, for you project out ugly externally. So that's your perception, though, from what you've just said. Everything is perfect, truly. Everything is in order of what it needs to be. It's just constant change. The only thing that shouldn't change is you. You should only learn to adapt to your own self, not changing, but to know more of who you are. Because you're not really changing. You're just breaking your own barriers and your own chains. Because if you could change who you were, then you wouldn't be in the same flesh. You wouldn't be in the same, like, actual physical part. I mean, from your observation, language is failing me, but from the true observation that you need to see instead of projecting it outward is your ears are failing you. Because in the sea of people, you're the only one who's lost. That's what you said. If you didn't mean it, you wouldn't have said it that way. Simple as. I mean, that's just the truth right there. Nah, it's not language. That's just your expression. You just need to get better at expressing and being direct and not saying what you don't mean. Because what even is language? What are you listening to when it comes to language? What are you digesting as language? Is it just words? Is it the totality of everything that's happening, or is it just one part of thing? What are you talking about? Dante, you don't know anything. I'm gonna just leave it a buck. You don't know who I am when it comes down to it. You're literally meeting someone who has 50-50 polarity. I'm neither yang or yin. I'm literally both and none. I'm neutralized out. You are the yang type because you're unable to accept the truth of it, of the balance. But again, those who are operating off of a rational-minded self are not going to see the true polarity of themselves. They're only going to externalize and project what they desire to see rather than the full truth of it. Are you evil or good? Those two things, evil and good, those are two exact. Those aren't even like polar opposites. Those are just two exact opposites. And I don't judge things to be good or bad, or pure or evil. So no one's arguing, unfortunately. The argument's between you and yourself, where you wished for there to be an argument, but you know that there's not one. So you try to project that out. That's unfortunate. Some people just don't have really like happy lives, and that's okay. How am I defensive? Same, Siege. SG, same. I don't get it. I guess explaining things and speaking truth is defensive. I guess that's the conscious level that we've stepped down to. I guess we're there right now. That's okay. Well, evil and good are not this. You're talking about good and evil don't go together like that. Those are two different words. It's good and bad that they're the polar opposites. Good and evil are like exact opposites. They're not even comparable. Those words are not the opposites of what you think. Those are two different variables completely. I get tested on my patients daily. This, like, I really don't give a fuck. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't care. I've taught myself how to not care when it comes to things. Narcissism is a label. It's not a thing. You're talking about psychopaths or sociopaths. Narcissism is just a man-made structure to scapegoat bullshit because they don't know the difference between either two of them. Unfortunately. Release the slab or separate my courage. There's nothing wrong with ATR religions. So possessed people are attacking. Define possessed. Is there a universal thing going on with bad luck? No, there's no such thing as bad luck. What people say is bad luck is just a poor judgment of their own self, where they should be listening more of what they need to be doing rather than deciding to go the opposite way. The lack of control over the rational mind is what needs to be applied for that. Your good luck comes from how well you can listen to yourself. Your bad luck comes from how good you can ignore yourself. Well, how well you can. I mean, to your perception, it's because you're sabotaging yourself. The world itself, the Matrix itself, is only the way it is because you are in it and you are creating things within inside of it. If you want change, then you must change how you're moving within those spheres, you're moving within that matrix. If you see that the matrix is sabotaging you, it's because you are sabotaging yourself, and instead of seeing things in the internal, you're seeing it from an external. You don't have to agree with it. It's simply the truth. You would not be here if you did not have a hand in it. You wouldn't be on this realm if you didn't have a hand in it. It's the same thing where people give like past life readings and they go, in the past life you were a king. No, the fuck you weren't. You were probably an asshole, degenerate. Why are you on this realm? And it has all these problems that we define as problems. If you were a good person, you wouldn't be here. You'd be somewhere else. We already know that there's more than this place here, so why the hell are we here? To fix something, obviously, because we fucked up in the past life. Even if you came down here on your own free will, you had to do something to make yourself feel like you needed to come down here like this. Like, damn. Like, really look into it. I don't know. Hell isn't a thing. Hell is a mindset. You're in hell because you're not having a proper mindset of things. This is the lower vibration mind that's in control when you start defining things at those levels. Well, that you just said when you think. I don't know, how do you think? I don't know how you think. So you have to answer that question, unfortunately. You just asked yourself a question. Yeah, everything is perfect. The way it is. That's why things are moving in this way. It's so weird. Because I don't get what some people are doing in here. I don't get it. I'm really just confused. You're the beast? Well then you are not welcome here. If you're gonna declare yourself as being the beast, you are not welcome here. I'm gonna just let you know right now. Oh, someone else at the door. That's what it was. To be a participant means that you willingly do something, so you don't have to. What happened in here? I'm just talking about the egregore, and that's just got a bunch of people flying in and shit, you know? It's just what it is. I mean, here, you can help me with my reflux by just leaving completely. There you go. Now you don't have to worry about seeing something that doesn't exist. I make friends pretty easily. Do they stay? Depends. You know. I give off a very good impression of being a friendly person, but at the end of the day, like, I have a very strong no bullshit tolerance. So the second something goes south, I'm immediately shutting off all like care. And it's just like if you want to do better, you would, and if you don't, you won't. But I'll let you know. No, Earth is not hell. If you think Earth is hell, it's because you are making it hell. It's because you are stuck in hell because of your own mindset and being. That's showing that you're on a lower vibration. That method of transmuting on a large scale, I don't have one. I just simply do it. I don't know how. It is something that is naturally within me. I never had to like sit down and think about it. I just simply do. I'm very good at detaching. That's all. I mean, I guess that's just it. I'm just really good at detaching. I've gone through a lot, and if I just don't want to go through something, I just won't. Like, I don't know. Change your mindset. Understand why you see things as hell. Why are you using the term hell to compare it to something? Are you just trying to say that something is not good or something's just bad? Why would you describe it as hell? Because hell in its sense has its own energy, its own vibration that it carries. So why would you damn yourself to something so intense when you could just lessen it by saying what it truly is? You know what I mean? Instead of saying it in a metaphoric or giving it a similarity, saying just what it is will help you around that point, for sure. I don't know what you're doing in here still, Dante, but sure, go off, I guess. Have fun with that. But yeah, I'm always here to share, to shine lights on things. It's not being shined on by anyone else. Like, oh, everyone else is just fucking looking at cards all day long. I want to break the spell. I want to. And it's, you know, solo or not is whatever. Since when? Like a year. It's only been about a year. Yeah, I was in an apartment. Now I'm in a hotel. Life changes, life goes on. I mean, maybe for you, Tay. Not for everyone else. Why are there so many in hotels? Hell if I know. It's cheaper. I mean, it's relatively still the same cost, but the illusion of it's cheaper. I mean, you can look, you can call it the housing market, you can say economics, you can say whatever. It just depends. It's a personal thing at the end of the day. Am I good? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm in thinking mode, so I'm even more detached than usual. Unfortunately, so sorry for that. But I'm in thinking mode because I'm sitting here, like, trying to figure out this sigil because I see it and I'm trying to like plan it out in my head, basically. I second that with Daniel. If I will not describe how I do most of my workings. I will simply just post the final product. Everything else is there. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing well. I'm literally just like, I'm detached. I'm also trying to fast today, so I've been in an inner battle on and off of like, oh, let me get something to eat, and like, no, you're not eating today. So there's a lot of chaos in this room. We live by chaos theory. Always taking care of myself. Always. And what time is it? 4? Probably in 2 hours I'll get something to eat. If I need to. I'm gonna take those hiccups as like confirmation, I guess. But I'm also fasting because whenever I do any form of ritual, I usually will fast for 3 days. Unless if it's like on the top of my brain. You know what I mean? But usually I'll fast for 3 days. It's a solid thing to do. I mean, yeah, I'm like in the back of my brain, I'm prepping for a ritual that takes like a 2-week fast. I don't know when I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be one that I do. I don't know when. I'm not gonna talk anymore about it, but I have to do it. It's mandatory. A 2-week emptying. I'm probably for that whole 2 weeks as well. I'm not gonna be posting either. It's a complete isolation, so I have to like break everything. No interactions with external people. no leaving, no stimulation of any type, and then go into the ritual. But that's that's a different thing to talk about. Uh, a whole other thing to do. I love Enochian magic. That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck for the 21-day one. I've done a 30-day fast. It's not easy. I looked awful. Mainly because the fast was forced, so I was being ate alive by my feelings and my emotions at the time. And yeah, I didn't have any water either, so that kind of, dictated how I was looking too. But, no, I still drink water. The most I will ever do on a fast is have honey. I don't take vitamins. I won't do that. I'll take honey. That is the most solid thing I'll have. You're not gonna find your best tarot card reader on YouTube. I'll leave you with that right now. You just won't. Go find you a gypsy. You want someone who can read your cards. Go to a gypsy. Stay offline for most of it. Stay offline. That's the correct word of saying it. I get confused with online and offline. Anyway, go find you a gypsy. Go find you a bona fide gypsy. You can find them at circuses. You can find them on the side of the road. Just go look for you. Go find you a genuine gypsy, and they will be your best tarot reader. Other than that, coming from someone that does readings online too. Some people are like so delusional when they read. It's kind of it's like outrageous. Unfortunately, they don't. I don't know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be saying that, but I am. Yeah, do not listen, dude. If you get a bona fide gypsy and they read you to filth, just say thank you and say don't get mad at them because they will fuck you up. You think you think someone's gonna mess you up with an astrology chart? No, these gypsies can read constellations. They'll know the constellations on your birth and fuck you up that way. Good luck getting that fixed. Ain't no one in the Western Hemisphere gonna know how to fix you with that when it comes down to it. Yeah, you could just learn to read the cards, but the cards are not as simple as you would think. Most people that teach you how to read the cards don't know jack shit about the cards. They just go, oh, it's the Empress, it's the woman. There's a wheat on the cards. Like, there's more to it than that. The number 3, the feminine nature, the Venus symbology. And then again, westernized astrology is so incorrect. And also numerology. Westernized numerology is also fucked up and incorrect. So you can learn it for sure. I teach classes on it but it's so in depth. Listen, if you want to get like a good reading, get your palm get a palm tree reading. And go get you an Aoife divinator, dude. They'll fucking tell you everything you need to know, dude. Stay away from the Europeans. Stay away from the westernizations of people. Go talk to people who have gypsy backgrounds. They'll get you right, genuinely. Stay away from the westernization of shit, bro. They don't know a damn thing. It's different. It's the egregore of the westernized lifestyle. I swear to God. What do you believe that we're doing here on Earth? I don't have a belief system. I don't really believe in anything. All I know for a fact of what we're doing here on this Earth is to connect back to Mother. We're so focused on Father, we don't even remember who Mother is. We're so focused on time and matter and how that interacts with us rather than focusing on the feeling state. I mean, shit. Like, we're so focused on the mental realm of things, we don't even realize that there's 2 realms that come before the mental. You know what I mean? Well, Enochian works are very interesting Because John Dee was the first one to revolutionize it, because he was doing Enochian magic during wars. Enochian magic in its root, I don't know where it comes from fully, but John Dee was the first one to revolutionize it for sure. But even then, it was more of a British thing, because for some reason back then, the people thought like the Britain was like the Holy Land, or like the most. Well, that was because of like the Queen and the Pope and stuff, of course, as well back then, and the whole Vatican situation. But they thought that the UK was the most holy land, so that's why it was rooted from there. But it stemmed from a lot of other like cultures, a lot of other like studies. What are you talking about? That's not duality. There's 4 stages. That's not 2. And then those 4 break down into 2 because you have 2 opposites. That's not duality. That's the polarity. The visible and the visible. And they're whole because they're not separate. Well, they're separate because, well, man made them separate. Mother and father. Yeah, mother came from father. Mother and father are one. The invisible creates the visible. They're both the same because you can't see everything. There are things that you can't see right now, like the particles in the air. Can you see them? No. Until something creates them to be seen, they won't be seen. Does that mean that they are different? No, that means it's there. You just can't see it. You're not able to experience it because you're fully disconnected from that part of you that would be able to see it. And you know that you'd be able to see it because part of you knows that they exist. So what's part of you are you truly ignoring that's preventing you to visually see it? Nikola Tesla was interesting. He was a very, very interesting person. A lot of his patents were just destroyed and ripped apart and hidden, but man knew his astrology. Einstein knew his astrology. They all knew it. They seen it. They seen how what Earth and the planets represented on a micro scale. They knew what was going on. They know what's up. They knew what was going on. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm gonna throw this out here. I swear we used to have 2 heads. I swear that we used to be actual conjoined twins walking around at some point. Before we became like more and more depolarized. I'm gonna just throw that out there. I mean, if you wanna say that we're on a flat Earth, you can go for that, but you can keep that. You can keep the whole thing. You can keep the whole dinner plate with it, you know. It's all good. No. Polarity is dealing with poles. Polarity and duality are not the same. Yeah, I've seen that. I've heard about that. I don't know why I started so bad. Oh my god, but yeah. Yeah, 2 poles. two sides of one pole. Truly, if you're gonna break it down, really, it's two sides of one. That's not a duality. That's a whole. That's a trinity. If you're really gonna talk about it, the whole point of having duality is to say that it's one, and one does not exist. You cannot have one of anything. They come in a pair always. And that's not duality, that's polarity. Again. No, the sun doesn't set, but the sun sets, but the sun definitely did make set. Not rise anymore. I'll leave it at that. If you get that one, I probably butchered the fuck out of it, but the sun did make set disappear. I will say that. No, I just know that you believe because you state the statement that you believe. So that means that you have a belief system. There's no believing in that. You just told me it. So if I didn't know, I wouldn't know. But because you tell me, I know. There's no belief in it. Like, I just know. I know that people have belief systems. I know that I don't have one. I've met people with belief systems, so I can leave that as my knowing of people have belief systems, some people don't, because I don't have one, so that means other people wouldn't have one either. Same thing. There's not a belief about it, it's just a knowing of it. No, the sun, Horus. The sun. S-U-N. S-O-N. S-U-N. Horus. Set killed Osiris. Set got Osiris killed. He turned into wheat. He made him rest in the field, and he turned into wheat, and then he got harvested by Set. But yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Queen. I'm not too sure. I need to... Okay, so there's 2 responses already. Awesome. That's okay. I'll look at that later. These are all rays of light. The Egyptians knew this. I love it. I mean, that's why Ray and Ra are the same. I don't know why I keep like posting stuff. I keep forgetting I have to like actually be active and post stuff in the chat. My brain is just not in it right now. I usually post this stuff more, but that's okay. So why didn't that even work? I'm so confused. I have to figure it out. Is it because it needs to be in here? I'll put it in here. I'll put it in this channel, see if it gets permissions now. I don't know. What's in my data back about Amun-Ra? Why? Or like what do you mean by that? Any specifics or? So that tag is my Discord. What tag? Yeah, of course you can. I mean, yeah, you can email me. That's why I have one. You can always email. Anyone can email, as long as you know how to send one. You know. Yeah, it's important to be careful with the information, but in the age of Aquarius, it's got to come out. I don't really know what else to talk about when it comes down to this stuff, because I already got all the egregore stuff out. I don't know. There's one true God. Okay. Are you talking about L, the most high Anu, or are you talking about the Abrahamic God? Then which Abrahamic God are we talking about? I'll entertain that part. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff hidden. Yeah, it is fishy. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't get why. I don't know why that brings up this point, but I don't like it when people call themselves mystics, because the mystic is someone who conceals. Mystic is mystery. So, if you're a mystic, that means you hide things. You're hidden. Why do you hide? You can be a study. You can study mysticism, but to be a mystic is saying that you are in the activity of hiding something. So what are you hiding? People don't know the labels, though, unfortunately. I don't want... Ignorance is never bliss. Ignorance is ignorance. I don't get why people try to compare those words together. Ignorance is ignorance. Bliss is bliss. Ignorance is bliss means Iblis. Look up Iblis. Go to your Quran and go study Iblis. That's what you're saying with that. Blinding yourself by the devil is better than seeing the light. If you want to keep that logic, you go for it. You can have all of it and all the smoke that comes with it too, but I don't want none of it. So, damn. So if we're gonna talk about mysticism and that, the ancients used to call the god mystic or magic, in that sense, mystery. That's where this term comes from, mystery. Mystic, mystery. It's the same thing as God. God is mystery. We know God is where is, is and will be and is everywhere and is in nothing, which is a mystery to human consciousness because we can't fully comprehend and grasp it because we're so rationalized. So the study of mysticism is really the study of the mystery or the workings of God, of a higher power, of the forces that run and rule this world, that are hidden from visual view. And that's really, if we're going to talk about mysticism, that's how I would break it down. I'm just, if you're gonna call yourself a label, I'm gonna make sure that you follow the label. Like a psychic, if you don't know how to listen to your intuition and use your brain, and you don't have full control over that rational self, you're not as psychic as you think you are. Because the psyche deals with the mind, the spirit. It doesn't mean that you talk to spirits, or it doesn't mean you hear spirits. Anyone can do that if you got a brain and ears, right? Being a psychic means that you are able to read the mind. You are able to determine how the mind is going to react, despite within yourself or others. Psychologists, it's the same thing. If you study in psychology, you're more of a psychic than what people, modern day would think. Why would you want to eliminate fear? You don't eliminate it. You just allow fear to persuade you to do the thing that you need to do, rather than hold you back and keep you in a stuck position. Anywhere to start? Personally, no. I didn't really jump into mysticism. It's something that's just kind of found me. I don't really study certain things. Like, I studied occultism since I was a child, so mysticism just kind of came around the corner and tapped me on the shoulder at one point. I didn't really delve too deep into it. Same with like Hermeticism. I never in my life studied Hermeticism, but I can hold conversations with it. It's just like there are very simple laws that these things are governed by when it comes down to the basis of it. And if you can understand what's trying to be persuaded or talked about within those studies, you can really hold a conversation in anything. Like, if you can understand physics, and physics meaning how we interact with how the mental reacts with the physical, right? And how things are moving within the internal and external. If you can understand that, you can hold a conversation in physics. If you know how chemical reactions happens, if you understand that certain words will cause you to feel certain feelings, and that's a chemical reaction, you can hold a conversation in chemistry. If you understand geometry, you can also hold a conversation in chemistry, in the sense of how combining elements works and how combustions and stuff work. You know what I mean? Everything's connected when it comes down to it, but you have to really be an alchemist and see and know what you're trying to talk about, and know the subjects of what they're holding, so you can actually move with it. Geometry, you know how to read the world. You can read different shapes, then you know how this world is made. You'll know how to be a craftsman at that point. You know what I mean? If you're good at math, then you're pretty good at basically history, if you really want to break it down that way. Just to figure out how the timeline works within history, that takes a bit of mathematical skill. A little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Depending on what math, I should say that as well, depending on what math. I shouldn't just say all math. But regardless, it like everything is connected in that sense. It's very interesting. Which is why I get really confused when it gets overcomplicated by some people. Because there's a difference of talking about the theoretics of something, and then talking about the schematics or the schemes of them. But it's fun too, I guess. It's fun to talk about the theories and schematics of things. Yeah, see, that's what I've been trying to do. But doing that on its own is not going to help a lot. Spreading truth and talking about truth is going to definitely help. But you'd also need to do some actual like spiritual work, because talking about the truth is doing the physical work. What are you doing in the spiritual to also keep it moving in that sense, right? Because we're worried about stopping it in that sense to where it stops corrupting spirits and things of that nature. How does science and religion join at this point? Uh, Scientology, I guess, if you want to break it down that way, but no. Science and religion don't get along together. So religion rules off of sciences, but I mean, other than that, Jesus isn't truth. Jesus isn't even a real name. The letter J was invented 400 years ago, so this Jesus character is a fucking lie, dude. I'm gonna just tell you, I'm tired of seeing that word. I'm just gonna tell it as it is. The name Jesus is a lie. The letter J was invented like fucking 400 years ago, dude. This Jesus character is not real. It is a different name. You're calling on some other entity that you ain't got no damn clue what it is. Okay? Jesus is not truth. Jesus is an actual fucking lie. Let's look at it differently. Yeshua would be a closer representation, but then you have Jesus, which is also another representation. You gotta look at the area of where this Jesus character was even invented in Lower Egypt, right? So who and what name would be related to that in Lower Egypt? Were you there to really figure that out? No. Will we ever really truly find out? Probably not. The closest word that we have right now is Yahwun, which would be the closest thing to a Jesus character if we wanted to compare it to, and that would be one of the 24 elders. So I don't know. I'm just so tired of seeing it. Like, if you need Jesus, go for it. But unfortunately, wrong place, wrong category over here, please. Well, is it the truth or is it your truth? There's a difference. Because if it's your truth, that's a part lie. The whole truth can only be experienced when two come into conjoint. When two are in a full interaction, then the truth can be revealed. Until then, it's going to be a one-sided coin. Unless you're self-observatory and you observe yourself from the invisible and the visible at the same time, then you have you have you have a relative truth at that point, because you're able to see both sides of it. But moving with that truth, internally is a different thing. But unless you are actively being omniscient of everything that you're doing and everything that you're saying, you're not living in full truth. You're living off of the rationalization of the truth. Yeah, if you feel the need to shove it down someone's throat, it's not the truth. That's called an opinion. That is called an opinion, and you're not doing it right. Yes, exactly, Stephen. Like, it literally says in the book, don't fucking worship me, dude. Just, you want to get to where you want to get, don't worship me. Because when I come back, if I come back, or whatever, however that's going to work, I ain't gonna listen to you. I'm going to throw you to the dogs. So you ain't doing it right. Well, if everyone followed their true, authentic truth and followed their life the way they wanted to, we would definitely be in a brighter society. Brighter, not meaning good or bad. Brighter just meaning, shit, hold on. I gotta think of the word brighter now. More illuminated. You would be able to see more in reality. You would be able to judge characters more. people would actually be able to just move. It wouldn't be stagnancy. There wouldn't be any, I gotta think of the word, because I'm not gonna use the word negative. There wouldn't be any pessimistic fears. There we go. Jesus Christ. I couldn't think of the word. But yeah, we wouldn't have pessimism. And spirituality is not split into duality. that is modernization. That is westernization. But spirituality is not that. Spirituality is just moving with spirit. To be spiritual means that you are aware of spirit. And what is spirit depends on which spirits need around you. You know? Life is very unfair. Life is very fair. You get what you get in this life because of situations and choices that you create around yourself. You know, either made unknowingly or knowingly. It is all fair because if it was not fair, it truly would not happen to you. There is always a better choice, a better way to move. Nobody asked to be born. Yeah, we did. In spirit, we asked to be born. Mother and father, we walked up to them and said, hey, I want to go. They said, it's time to learn some lessons. Do you want to go down to earth? And then you would say yes or no. Your spirit would then be put into the pool of you know, if you're going to come to earth, what are you going to learn? What are you going to learn? If you're going to be not even earth, but if you're going to be born, you're going to be birthed into the realm of physical nature. What do you want to learn? What are some things you want to do? And then you choose it. You're out. Yeah. Goodbye. Have fun. You didn't choose to come here yet. You came anyway, right? Right? You didn't choose to be disagreed upon when you came in here, but you still became disagreed upon, right? You didn't choose that, right? Yeah, people gave consent to being born. What are you talking about? Nothing happens without permission. Nothing happens without a force allowing it to be. You allowed yourself to come here. You can take yourself out at any given time if you want, for sure, but you chose to come here, unfortunately. No, not random. Not random at all. If you look at how DNA is structured and everything, it's not random. It is very structured. The only thing that would be random from that would be genes from eons ago popping back up in certain ways, unfortunately. So do some more studying and you'll figure it out. I wouldn't really expect a name like yours to know much about that, though, unfortunately. Not to label you like that, but that is your label, unfortunately, on this screen of mine. So I'm gonna have to look at it and see it as such. Well, because there's no such thing as things being random. You can gauge everything that's gonna happen to you. You just really need to like be observatory of it. Like everything can happen. You can create your own reasoning. It doesn't have to be random. It's just a lack of control that creates things to be random, or a lack of feeling of control that causes things to be random. You have full control at all times, but it's your own limitations and your own boundaries that keep you from doing such. You can go all the way into physics and learn that, you know. Quantum mechanics will teach you all about that one. Oh my goodness, talk about quantum entanglement. Shit. I'll take you somewhere. Exactly. Nothing, like, no, you cannot be in any sort of pain unless you hurt yourself first. Like, you have to be willing to feel it at some degree, or expect it to happen for it to truly happen. Or any other sickness. I mean, you just said, or any other sickness. I'm not really sure what you're talking about, but still, you chose to get that illness as a result of actions, conscious or unconscious, known or unknown. There were choices that were made. You made because it happened to you, and nothing happens to you unless you choose it. So yes. Exactly. Like, here's the thing. If you remembered it, you would do everything in your fucking power to avoid it. Unfortunately, you chose not to remember it, so you wouldn't avoid it, so you would learn something from it, or get some form of experience to allow your soul to mature. So, you know what I mean? And even then, the movie Final Destination proves that theory a step further. Even if you did everything to keep it from happening, guess what would happen? A lesson to show you what happens when you struggle against the forces at will. So even though you don't want it to happen and you try to do everything to stop it, something else is going to happen that's a little bit worse than before. Yeah, people chose to be that way. You're starting to get it a little bit, hopefully. It is a choice. Not everything that happens is visually going to be experienced or mentally going to be known. There is going to be that aspect that is not truly and fully known. It is not saying that things are good or bad. It is not saying that they are to blame or not to blame. It is just simply saying they chose it. Because if they did not choose it, it would not be something they would be in. There is a lesson, a greater purpose behind it all. And it's up for you to just, understand that and move with it so that you're not struggling with it. Because when you move with it, you're able to go past it. When you're struggling with it, you get stuck behind it as a barrier. Well, yeah, the word consequence is a sequences of cons based off of a choice that you make. So no matter if you make a choice that doesn't matter if you believe a choice is good or not, your consequence or the sequences or cons are going to be events that oppose that. So I hold a door open for someone and I say thank you. The consequence, the sequences of cons that happen is they don't say thank you and I get upset that they didn't say thank you. And that's the sequences of cons that happened. Even though I did something out of the nature of my heart, there were still sequence of events that happened that went against my main action. I buy someone an ice cream cone, but then they drop it. Those things right there. These are consequences. You try and diffuse an argument, but then you're the one to get yelled at the most. That's the sequences of cons right there. Your parents? No, you talk to your parents. You talk to mother and father before you come down here. Or if you're talking about the flesh things that you come out of, those aren't your parents. Okay? Those are your that's your inhabitors, if anything. That's where you inhabited until you were able to be put on the physical. Your actual creators are in the invisible forces that at will. No, I'm pretty sober. It's okay. It's really just your name. You don't get it. It's unfortunate, but yeah. See, that's the thing. They always say I'm gonna leave. They can't, because they know what I'm saying is true, and they just fucking can't handle it. There's there has to be some sort of faculty, and there has to be an incorrect. They're gonna slip up or something. No, I'm not the one to slip up on that. Yeah, you wouldn't be here if you didn't give consent. If you don't consent, you can take it away and remove yourself. It's perfectly fine, but you consented. It's the same thing as you consented to be here. And I consent for you to be here, because if I didn't consent for you to be here, I'd just make you disappear. You would never be here again. But the fact that you consent to be here is the whole purpose. Exactly, Stephen. If you're doing something that you don't like and you continue to stay in it, you're consenting to your own despair. If you have an issue with it, take it up with yourself, because you're the one keeping you there. It's that simple. It really is. If you don't want it, you don't want it. I'm only letting it stay here because I'm letting it help me build up more resistance. You know what I mean? It's resistance training for me to be able to just have more detached conversation while also keeping a steady mindset. You know what I mean? It's practice for me. It's nice. I don't know. I just like brain teasers like that. So at the end of the day, Because, I mean, it's like conversation skills, really. I want to get better at conversating with myself. We don't know what yes means. You just said no and yes in the same sentence. What are you talking about? I think I get what you're saying, but my brain is not active right now like that. I wasn't knowing that you're owned by a 1 and a 0. Pretty good. The 0 being the infinite and the 1 being the mother. I can live with that. I don't have a car, so technically no. So, I mean, have fun with that. Now, see, now that's the thing. That's a good one to say. No, dead ass. Everyone's like, you're on drugs, you talk to yourself. And then we're over here fucking mumbling to ourselves, like, oh, I gotta do this today. You're on drugs, so you're talking to yourself. The fuck? All of my property? Why you want my property? What's wrong with you? Like, what is causing that type of want? Why are you not satisfied with what you have? I'm just asking. That doesn't answer my what question? I don't know what you're trying to do. It's not working though. I don't know what you're trying to like say. What question are you trying to answer by asking if you can have my property? What? What did I even like? What's going on with that? We don't believe in the word yes. What are you talking about? No one said that. I never said that. No, there's no keeping up. You need to catch up. I'm the one walking. You just stood still and looked at the sidewalk for a second. I don't know what you're doing. I don't ever like I don't even say the word believe. You said my question. I didn't say anything about believing in the word yes. You said the word no and then the word yes, and I was like, what does that mean? And then you started asking me if you can take some of my stuff. And I just said no. That doesn't mean anything about knowing the word yes, dude. It's just, I don't get it. I don't know, again, I don't know what you're trying to do, but it's not working, and it's, might need to go, like, let that simmer a little bit longer before it comes out of the oven. No, he said no. He said N-O and then Y-E-S in it. I don't know. I don't, like, I really, I don't get it. It's okay. I'm just gonna let it, I mean, it happened. It's whatever. It was a moment in time. Yeah, see, I don't know what you're doing. I don't get it. It ain't for me. I don't want it. I don't get it. I give you $100. I mean, no. I don't know you, so no. I don't have never had any interaction with you before, so probably not. I'll keep it a buck with you. Dude, I'm just so confused. No, it is distractions. It ain't work on me though. I got my mental solidified like that. I observe it. I have to like look at it. I don't know. I don't get it. I could if I really sat down and thought about it. I'm sitting down. I'm just not thinking about it. Blame the operator. I'm probably gonna get off in a few. I'm gonna go work on that sigil because I think I have. I think I got it. Find something to talk about. I gotta go work on this egregore stuff. That's what I gotta talk about myself with. I've been thinking like, because this whole thing was supposed to be about the egregore, but every time I talk about anything on this live, it goes into a completely like random like sidewalk walk. So I don't know, it's whatever. But I'm gonna start working on this because I have it in my brain now. I know exactly what I gotta do for the time being. I'll be giving updates on like what all is happening with this stuff as well as time goes on. I'm gonna post that again. I'm gonna post the Google form again for anyone that's interested in cooperating, and if not, it's perfectly fine. But it's all there. But yeah, all the information's there. The website that I have, if you're needing readings, books, one-on-one services, whatever. If you need to email me, the email's there. Donation links are there. If you want to do that, doesn't matter. Regardless, I love each and every one of y'all to the moon and back, tenfold and forever. And I'm gonna see you all later.